And the phone number is area 302-376-7855. Now, short of what I just mentioned, if folks are interested in just going to the website, and if you look at it and believe that someone you know will benefit from the contents, I'm just asking you to forward it to them and let it bless them in whatever capacity.
All right, well, I wanted to suggest also, Alani, there is a marketing program called Constant Contact. You may want to look that up on the internet as well, because a lot of successful marketing campaign employs some of their programs, and I believe there's a 30-day free trial.
Okay.
So look into that.
That's
Constant
good to know.
Contact.
Yeah, thank you. Say the name again?
Constant
Contact.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You said that you had a story to share about the phrase on your bumper sticker, "We are all touched by incest, whether or not you're the victim." Can you share that with us?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. At the beginning of the year, I had shared with some colleagues that the website was up and running, and I was in a conference room with about 5 people, and this young lady left the conference room, went to her office, and within about 5 minutes she came back and found me and said, I have to tell you that I just looked at the website. I didn't look at the whole thing, but I saw a portion of it, and something just went through me, she said. And the word that she used was electrifying. So she read a part of it, and it touched her in such a way, and she began to talk about her situation as it involved incest. Her sister, apparently, and her dad, 18 years ago, had a child. And that child has really been in a lot of challenges, been in some difficult circumstances. And alcoholism, apparently, is something that they deal with in their family also. And while she was explaining this, before she got to that point, she said that, you know, I'm sharing something with you that I've never shared with anyone. So, you know, I was treating that as privileged information. And she began to cry, and, you know, I cried right with her. And she said that you need to keep doing what you're doing. You need to get your information out there. You need to get your book. People need to hear about and read about this. And what's so profound about what she is saying and this one-liner on this bumper sticker is that she is not a victim. She is not a perpetrator. She is not married, so not the spouse of the victim or a perpetrator, and yet she's affected. And she talked about, you know, being at work and going to church, and everybody that knows her says that she has everything in her life together, and she says they just don't know, you know, the pain or the challenges that I have had to live with and lived with and currently living with. And so, you know, when we talk about that one-liner that we are all affected, truly we are.
I want to take you back to May of 2008. Is that when what we discussed in the green room about how did this vision come? Is that when that happened?
Over time, but that's the place where I can point to, because that's when I first put pen to paper. There had been visions that I'd had before. In particular, this is really interesting, and I've shared this with several people, but I was awakened one morning in late 2007, September 2007, by the ceiling fan in my bedroom, and it sounded like a time clock. And when it woke me, I heard a voice just as clearly as I'm speaking to you now say, "It's time." I had no idea at that time what "it's time" meant, and I still don't completely know what that means, but I have an inkling that it's centered around all of this.
I remember when we were speaking on the telephone, and I think you said that it took a while before you could define yourself as a survivor. And I just want to commend you, first of all, on the courage that you have. I see and feel your commitment and dedication, and I think you're going about it in an awesome way. You know, and if it's all started with the ticking sound of that ceiling fan, and then that soft voice that spoke to you, the Holy Spirit, I mean, you're destined to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. And at home, again, please remember to visit Alani's website. She has the products that she's trying to market and sell to support her publishing endeavors. We'll go and we'll support you.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Those are very kind words. I appreciate it, and from the depths of my heart, truly believe that God has intervened. Truth be told, I had committed myself to taking to my grave with me all of this, and I know that it is not me, the person, who is responsible for this, because I could never have imagined it happening. I know that it is divine, and that's why I titled it my divine assignment.
Okay.
One quick question.
Yeah.
How has this been received by your family?
Very interestingly,
question.
It's a very good question, and there are strong emotions on both sides, standing in support of me, the person, but also the issue itself. It's a hard pill for people to swallow, and you know, all in all, I would say it's a mixed bag. But again, my going forward is not about any one person. It is about the thing that we so often don't want to deal with, and people are hurting because of it, and someone has to.
Yeah.
Someone has to.
You know, I heard a saying one time, Alani and Shauna. It goes that we are only as sick as our secrets. You know what I mean? And as long as we are held in bondage by those secrets, there's little room for healing.
Yes.
You know, a seed has to open up in order for, you know, the branches to come forth and sprout.
Yes. I believe that. Yeah.
So what can we expect, or what would you like to see come next?
That's a very good question, and I am the co-pilot.
Okay.
So,
Love
you
it.
know, I am taking direction from my Father in heaven. So there are things that I see on the plate, but whether or not that's the direction that I go, I really can't say. And it's interesting because, sort of on a closing note, where I was going was about prayer requests. I mean, that's something that I can ask of you. I have two specific prayer requests. The first is that Alani remain focused and see to it that the will of God is completed, because it's very easy to hear and listen to information that's coming from every which direction, and at the same time, you know, my conscience has to make sure that it is in line with what God has told me to do. And so that is definitely something that I would ask folks to do, is to stand in prayer with me on that. And the second prayer request is concerning folks that are affected by incest. And note that I didn't say victims. I said those that are affected. Now that certainly includes victims, but in the vision that was given me, it includes the victim, the perpetrators, and the spouses of the victims and the perpetrators. And just in that story I shared earlier, clearly there are other people that we should be praying for. So
I think it goes it's a much wider span than that, because you and I were talking earlier, and as far as it being a generational issue, it could be so far removed from your you know, from someone's immediate family,
Right.
and you hear about it, but then what happens is it changes your perception of things.
Absolutely.
And you see things differently in that space where, you know, you just see things differently. And you see it in a way that was never intended by God.
Right.
Because of what you heard, what you heard, what you heard. So I think, you know, it goes a lot further.
It does. You're absolutely right about it. And that is something that is in part of the things that I've written about, generational curses.
Yeah.
Most definitely, it's deep. It's deep. And if it's not something that you are involved with close, it is kind of far removed until, you know, you start peeling back those layers. And, you know, that's another thing about Alani is trying to, I don't want to say social change, because I know that's a difficult task for one, you know, entity to do. But the way we think about incest needs to be challenged too. We treat people not in a good way when we find out that that is something that's part of their family, whether it's in the past or in the present. And I can certainly remember even folks in my own family doing the whispering and things that are counterproductive to bringing help to families that need it.
Well, we definitely want to thank you for reaching out to us to use us as a way to share this, and we invite you definitely to come back.
I appreciate
Yes,
that very much.
definitely.
You guys are going down in history because you're the first that I've been able to talk to in this capacity, and so I really appreciate the opportunity. It's been an honor, and I do look forward to future segments.
Yeah, come and visit us
Thank you
again.
very
Anytime.
much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Please continue to watch. We'll be right back with more of the Upper Room Outreach Ministry, The Monitor.